Facebook page. That being said, I do want to go ahead and get this call started. I'm going to introduce you our 3 panel speakers. We have Josh Lonnecker out of the Eastern region. Josh is you are a first-time branch manager, and you're going DM this upcoming year, right?
Correct.
At the Carolina division, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So yeah, Josh is an absolute rock star branch manager. He had a killer branch last summer. He's going to talk all about how he held himself accountable and how he really made sure to maximize his success as a branch manager. His numbers, you can see them in the flyer that we posted in the Facebook group. His office sold $140,000 last summer, and he was 23rd in the nation. Next up, we have Anthony Hayes. All of you guys must remember him from the last call that we had. Anthony's coming out of the Western region, and he was a senior branch manager in 2017. His office at $182,000, and he was 14th in the nation. And then finally, we have another newcomer, Jackson Montgomery, also out of the Eastern region. He was number 13th in the nation, so just to beat Anthony by a little bit. And his office is $190,000 in sales. So guys, we have a fired up crew today. We've got great questions. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So I want to start off with accountability, as I know that this is definitely an area of improvement for many people listening to the call. And with there roughly being around 55 days until the start of summer, now is definitely a time to start holding yourself to a higher standard and holding you and your peers very accountable. I'm going to say that one more time. I don't know if you know this, but there's about 55 days, more or less, until the start of the summer. So if you are not currently holding yourself accountable to goals and to action steps in order to properly prepare for your office, you are behind the ball. If you're on this call actively listening, that's a great sign. And you're going to get some absolute gold today. So make sure you have your notebook and your pen and get ready to take some notes. So my first question, this is for all of you guys. Feel free to jump in wherever you feel necessary. In the spring, leading up to your 2017 branch summer, what were you doing to hold yourself accountable to your branch preparation? And Josh, if you want to start, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in here. So spring, summer of 2017. First of all, guys, let me just say, absolutely congrats on being on this call. Just like Shelby said, you're taking things into your own hands. And guys, the summer already has started. Like, it starts now. And as we get closer and closer, you're just going to realize that more and more. Do as much as you can to prepare now. So going into spring, of summer, or going into summer of 2017, during that spring, I knew that I had to have some accountability, have some groups, have some people that I was a part of. So I was very intentional about creating some of those groups. However, I just want to kind of briefly overview kind of what worked for me and what didn't, because out of the 3 kind of groups that I involved myself in, only one ended up, working well and holding out throughout the spring and into the summer. I kind of became a part of 3 different groups. One was more just for personal accountability, getting to the gym, making sure I was getting up on time in the morning, doing all these different things. One was particularly just for Facebook, making sure I was hitting my goals for the Facebook Jumpstart program. And these 2 were basically, we were just, because I'm at school with no office, I was basically just having these accountability groups over a group message. And for me personally, that just didn't work, just because it was so hard to keep up with. I didn't feel committed to it. But I will tell you what, I did create an accountability group with some other local future branch managers at my school. There's 3 of us up at App State. And so, what we ended up doing was we would just meet at least once a week, just having that in-person interaction and commitment each week is what really, solidified my commitment to that group. And that was what really launched me as far as my accountability for spring of 2017. We would meet once on a weekly basis, at least once a week, just to focus on Cutco stuff. But a very big part of that accountability group that I believe is that we would do stuff outside of that too. We would develop our friendship. We'd go do some stuff. So when we did meet just for Cutco, a couple of things that we focused on are we would definitely make sure that we're hitting our goals together as a Facebook Jumpstart. And if you guys, I'm sure all of y'all are already on that. If you're not, make sure that you're hitting those, requirements now. and get on it as early as possible. So that was one of the things we definitely, felt really strongly about as far as holding each other accountable. The second thing, was just getting prepared for branch and the different aspects of that. So, scripting out training, making sure our interview was on point, all the different things that it comes to recruiting, training, and just managing that we felt we needed to work on. We would just kind of get together, we'd talk about them, feel what we were most comfortable with, and kind of work it out through there. And it was really good to have those people that just bounce ideas off of, and to kind of work it out with each other, instead of just kind of getting your district manager talking at you about it, but to have that conversation going into it.
Yeah, I love what you said about having 3 specific groups, in terms of different areas of your life, and pointing out the fact that it's hard to really hold yourself accountable when you're just doing a group through texting. And I can almost guarantee that all of you on this call, there is another branch manager within a 20-minute radius of you, whether it's on your campus, in a local office, someplace, somewhere where you can physically get together with one another and have a physical accountability group, because like Josh said, that is 10 times more powerful and 10 times more effective when you're physically with someone. So thank you so much, Josh. I think that was awesome. So next up, I want to go to Anthony. So that is the same question for you, Anthony.
Yeah, to kind of echo the same thing, it's definitely important to be with a group of other branch managers and training, just people that you can kind of talk about the same things that you're doing now with. I know that last year, I had a group of maybe 4 managers going out, and this year right now in the spring, we currently have probably around 10. So definitely it's really important having a group meet with those people, or a group chat of some kind, where you can really talk about daily things, weekly things, anything from kind of, as Josh mentioned, from, going to the gym, Facebook, training, whatever that may be. And one of the things that I really recommend is, if you do have any senior branches or second year, third year, whatever that is, but returning managers around you, definitely try to, latch on to one of them, especially if they did better. Because I know that that's really helpful, having someone who's kind of had that experience, but is also training in the same way that you are, to be around. It's really important. And make sure you're also, that when you're meeting with these people, that you can find people that are different from you, that have different personalities, different managing styles. I know I'm a little bit more intense than some of the people I work with, as far as manager training and manager prep. And so that allows me, as going into a third-year branch, to be a little tougher on people sometimes, but to also get that feedback, because it's pretty much the same as how your office is going to be. So I think that's really important. And then a thing that we like to do right now that we got actually from our division manager, Jay Brad, are what's called daily grades. And so this is something you can implement right into your program with your fellow branch managers right now. Is basically you pick categories, things like Cutco, homework, personal development, gym, whatever that may be, health. And you basically give yourself daily grades. And so, ideally you need a leader to be able to do it every single day. That person has an A in Cutco, they sold $1,000 that day, maybe made, 100 calls, B in homework, B in health, whatever that may be. And as everyone's doing that, you really kind of see that accountability of how's your day going. And you understand, with 55 days to go, every day does kind of have pretty significant, wealth to it, pretty much. So really keeping track of what you're doing every day and how that's getting you either closer or further away from your goals, I think is really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of things I picked up from what Anthony said. First is, I love that you choose to surround yourself with people who are, striving to be the best versions of themselves, but they're also different than you. Because sometimes when you're only surrounding yourself with like a type A personality who's just like you tend to become jaded with some of the things that you're doing, and you don't realize that, surrounding yourself with leaders who maybe are a little bit more type B, a little bit more reserved, but have great ideas and can still motivate a team. And just having those different perspectives is really important. Also, I love the daily grades thing. I think that's incredible. So if you're listening here and you think that, you want to be the leader who creates the accountability group, be the one who encourages everybody to grade themselves daily. Because when you actually start to think and reflect on how you acted that day as it pertains to X, Y, and Z, you'll start to naturally become better, because you're going to be grading yourself every single day. So I want to field the question now to Jackson. So Jackson, what did you do in the springtime?
Yeah, so what's cool is I've always been blessed to be able to work in a high-powered office. So I was able to start in Tallahassee with Carlos. And in this
That's Carlos Cordero, right?
Yeah, Carlos Cordero. And in the spring, going into the summer, I was able to work in our TLA group in our office. I had Dalila Kolar, I had JP Petrowski, I had Sean Powell, and I also had Andrew Evans. So my circle of influence off the bat in my own office was already pretty strong. So our weekly TLA meetings, we were always scripting together. So we were all obviously holding everyone accountable. We talked daily because we were in the same office. We did PDI together. So we were really able to work and constantly hold each other accountable. And then a big thing that I'd say that was kind of to, piggyback off of Anthony and Josh. But the big thing that I did was really just utilize Carlos. Carlos was really shown success the year before. So I just had a real conversation with him. I was like, hey man, like this next campaign, if I'm doing something wrong, like let me know, but show me how to do it the right way. I want to be able to be the best version of myself going out into the summer, and I want you to help me get there. So I had him make sure he held me accountable, and he called me out for everything I was doing wrong, and he helped me do it the right way. So that way, when it came around like April, May, I was already prepped and ready to roll and rock the summer.
Yeah, awesome. And it's cool that you were able to be surrounded by people as strong as like an Andrew Evans and a Carlos Cordero. So that kind of goes into the next question that I had for you. Can you talk to us about who exactly those people were? I mean, I know people know the names Andrew Evans and Carlos Cordero, but they might not know exactly their success. And then how did you keep that group going throughout the summer when Andrew and Carlos were both super busy themselves?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I would guess just to list off the people that I had in my circle, obviously Carlos Cordero. He his second year in Tallahassee, was able to win the Silver Cup in 2015, and that was the year that I started. I started that fall and finished the year out and was able to win the Silver Cup with him. And then I was able to work with Andrew Evans, who his second time branching was able to win the Silver Cup, and obviously last year, repeated that, broke the branch record. Also was able to work with Brent Boyd. And Brent Boyd this year was the #1 new DM. And Brent Boyd was someone that I really utilized during the summer because he was pretty close to my office. He was just an hour and a half north of me. So what I was able to do is on some weekends, maybe like a Saturday after training or something like that, I was able to go up to Brent's office and really just kind of shadow him and see how he's working and see how he's running his business. Because obviously he was crushing it. And, even though he's a DM, he was still doing the same things that I was doing, really. I was just only going to be open for 4 months. So I was really picking his brain and utilizing him, constantly communicating with Carlos daily, and obviously constantly communicating with Andrew because he was having, insane success. So I was obviously reaching out to see what he was doing. Also, Andrew Evans' assistant managers, Gabriel Torres and Eddie De Las Cuevas, went to FSU with me. So they were in my circle as well. So I was constantly talking to them. And it really just, taking initiative, really just starting the communication. Because to be honest, everyone's super busy. And if you don't reach out, they're probably not going to think to reach out to you. So if you want to know something and they're having success, you got to ask. They might not get back to you at that moment, but they'll get back to you for sure because they're trying to help you out.
Yeah, so to take what Jackson said, I mean, I know that a lot of you probably don't have that same really high-powered circle of influence, but that's okay. Taking what he just talked about and putting it into an action step, start to make lists right now of people that you can reach out to that are top performers. Who are some of the top new DMs from last summer in your region or even in the country? Who are some of the top branches from your region or even in the country that you can reach out to now and start to create that accountability group? Just like Jackson said, I mean, they're really, really busy, especially in the summertime, so they're not going to think to reach out to you. So you need to initiate that contact first. I also love the fact that you committed to, working alongside Brent Boyd, even though he's an hour and a half away. That's a huge commitment. I love to see that. So Josh, question for you. When the summer began, how did you view accountability? So in other words, who did you allow into your accountability group? And why was it important to protect it the way that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So going into the summer and at the very beginning of the summer, my mentality towards, who I wanted to surround myself with was that, with the mentality of being very competitive and wanting to be #1 and realizing that my time was pretty limited as far as, how much time I was going to have outside of working in my office. I only wanted to talk to people that were going to bring me up. I would only want to talk to people that were succeeding to the same level, or if not more than I was. So, early on in the summer, I talked to, May, I only talked to one person. That was Jonah Wiley. He's in my circle of influence, and ended up doing over $100,000 for the summer as well. And he's someone that I talk to daily throughout the summer. And we started out at a similar pace at the beginning of the summer. So we were able to relate, able to talk about what was going well, what wasn't going well. What's really interesting is some of y'all might know the name Joseph Koss. He did about 220 this past summer. A good buddy of mine, and later on, later on came into my circle of influence. But Koss opened up in mid-April, and I didn't talk to Koss from mid-April when he opened up till about mid-May when we had our May staffer. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Koss had quit going in 4 weeks into the summer, into his summer, into his office opening, because he'd only put up, in the first 3 weeks, 500 CPO. And in that fourth week, it was only about $5,000, and he'd been open 4 weeks. And I was kind of confused because I thought going into the summer, he's going to be my main competition. But, I didn't even talk to this guy until he started putting up 10, 15K weeks. And, later in May, and just because I wasn't going to take the time to I love Koss, but when you got bullets flying around you in the summer, you want to talk to people that are going to bring you up and to improve what you're doing and to improve yourself. So obviously, if you have time to take time to bring someone else up with you, I encourage that. But my main focus was on my office success and getting to where I needed to be. So that was a big player for me, was keeping those people that weren't in my circle of influence, keeping the people I didn't want out of my circle of influence, just to make sure that I was rising up at all times.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to highlight one thing that Josh said. So he protected his circle of influence to the point where he knew what his goals were, and he wasn't going to let any complaints, any negativity come into that circle of influence and potentially bring him down. Now, my next question is for Anthony, because I think that what Anthony went through in terms of accountability kind of it's almost like a polar opposite of Josh, and he's almost in Joseph's shoes, like Joseph Koss' shoes, like Josh just mentioned. So, Anthony, following up on what Josh just said, you had a slightly different approach to your accountability group. So, can you touch on what happened to you and your group in the beginning of the summer, and then what you specifically did to change it?
Yeah, I've been blessed that the 3 years I've been preparing to run an office now, I've had the same three people around me every single time. So Patty Cruz, Jeremy Farr, and then our DM, Chris Gehring. But Patty and Jeremy are like my brother and sister, And so last summer, that was Patty and mine's second summer going branch, and then Jeremy's first, but he had been a full-time AM in a $800,000 office the year before. So he was pretty confident himself. And I'd say by June week 2, because in the Western region, we start pretty late here. The three of us had probably a combined $10,000 in sales. So when we would talk, we talk almost every single night. We lived with each other in 2016. It was like, man, we suck at this. We're not ready for this. I can't believe we thought we were going to go out and do this giant summer. And, after probably a week of that, I realized that was not helping me get closer to my goals. And I love the two of them to death, and they both ended up getting out of that rut the same way. But I realized I needed to add other people to my circle of influence right away, of people who had been having better times. So I immediately reached out to some people in my region who had just a couple really almost firework weeks, just kind of sparked all of a sudden. Someone like Josh Tucker, who, was the first year I'd worked with Josh a little bit when he was down in my division going to school, and he popped out a $14,000 week. Or Donnie Sanchez, who ended up winning the new DM Silver Cup, who had an $18,000 week his first week open. Or my district manager, Chris, who, had already been humming for a little bit through May. And I really just needed to reach out and figure out what they were doing that I wasn't doing. And, the number one thing I really got out of it is they just kind of kept telling me to stay the course, and that it really took one or two good reps or one or two really solid, just maybe, strokes of luck that kind of got them out of that rut and got them humming right away. And so that really made me focus on the idea that I had to get back, into my rhythm. I knew what I was doing. I just had to go out and do it, basically. And so that kind of helped me get out of that rut and, having to separate myself from Patty and Jeremy for a little bit. And then obviously when I started humming again and they started humming again, it was really easy for us to get back and go right back into what we were already doing. So that really helped a lot. So really just knowing, who's around you, and even if those people are absolutely who you've been preparing with, or, who you want to keep preparing with, sometimes you do need to add those other people into your group. And so I know Shelby kind of mentioned, looking at reports or managers that already do really, really well and reaching out to them. I can imagine, in the first few weeks seeing that Silver Cup report going, wow, that person had a really good week. It never hurts to reach out, maybe swallow your pride a little bit and send a Facebook message and say, hey, I saw you just had a $12,000, $22,000 week. What did you do? What's going well in your office at that time? So I think that's really important to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what Anthony said was kind of, the opposite of what Josh said, in the sense where, if you are in the shoes of someone who is starting to kind of wallow in your self-pity, and you're trying to find people who are sucking just as bad as you, just so you can complain, realize that misery loves company, and that does you no good. So start to look at the reports and look for people like Josh and start reaching out to them and say, hey, I am looking to improve, what are you doing? And then work your way up to the point where, you are now competing against those kinds of people. So I love that. Now I want to take a few steps back here and acknowledge that, obviously there are very different ways to view an accountability group. And many times you'll probably hear something along the lines of, pick someone above you to emulate, pick someone at your level to compete with and challenge, and then pick someone below you to mentor. And it's super important to remember that when you are succeeding at a high level, you need to be prepared to help those who aren't having the best start of their summer, just like Anthony and Joseph Koss did with Josh. So can you guys all touch on the importance of reaching out to those who are succeeding at a higher level, even when you might feel embarrassed to do so because, let's say you were convinced that you were going to absolutely crush them?
Yeah, I can speak to that. It was kind of great. My summer, I was take things to emulate, have somebody to challenge myself and, compete with, and also have somebody to mentor. I would say the three people would be Andrew Evans, Brandon Denny, and then he crushed it and he broke the record. So obviously I was reaching out constantly, seeing what he was doing, seeing what his systems were that he had in place. To gain the success that he was getting. So I was constantly, reaching out and, talk about our days, talk about what we sold, talk about what went wrong, what we can fix, what we can stop, continue doing. Constantly competing with him in his office. And also with Sean, Sean, I would say, kind of go off to the last point, it's kind of got off to a real slow start. And Sean, I was pretty close, and we obviously were going to talk a lot. But off the bat, kind of what Josh said, I kind of stayed away a little bit with the influence and taking advice from him, just because he wasn't really seeing the results. But then instead of doing that, I really took advantage of seeing like, hey man, how can I help? So I was able to be able to reach out to him and give him some tips on what I was doing, because he was kind of distracted with the bad results he was getting. So I took advantage of it and was able to help him. And then he got off to the races towards the end of the summer, was able to finish up just under 100K. So that was kind of what I would.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone else saw that Jackson was breaking up a little bit, but just to kind of to talk about what he was just saying, he was one of the people that had someone above him, had someone at the same level as him, and then had someone who was needing some help, and he was one of those people who got advice from Andrew Evans, was challenging and working to compete with Brandon Denny, and then was lifting up and mentoring another branch manager named Sean. So Anthony, talk to me about, reaching out to people and kind of swallowing your pride throughout the summer.
Yeah. I mean, that first probably 3 or 4 weeks or so, I was a second-year branch. I had placed, number 20 nationally the year before. Only one branch manager who had returned who had done better than me the year before. So really excel. And for me to start off so slow was really, kind of painful for me. And so seeing brand new branch managers who I had worked with and taught, through workshops like sell ultimates or, how to get recommendations, go out, do better than me, pretty early. It took a lot for me, just in general as a prideful person to kind of prepping now. Josh is going out to run a second office now. And, I ended up probably doubling Josh's business at the end of the summer. But in those first few weeks, I was really kind of reach up in. And so, that was really important for me, I think, in general. I think it really humbled me and put me in a place where I could be a better leader and do better for the summer in general, because I was able to kind of pride to the side and realize that it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can always get better and you can always learn stuff from everyone. So if someone has a hot hand going in any time, it never hurts to kind of ask, hey, what's going well? And, how can I learn from that and get better through what you're doing?
Yeah, I love it. So we're going to move on just for the sake of time. We're going to move on to the next question. Josh, I know that I wanted you to answer that one question, but we're going to move on to the next question. So you'll be the first one to answer this question. So now that we've obviously established the importance of creating a healthy and strong accountability circle and some ways to do that, some ideas as to how to better hold each other accountable with the grading system and getting physically together versus over texting, how did you guys further leverage your circle of influence to create a better culture in your office? So Josh, go ahead. You can answer first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, this was probably, when I look back on my branch summer, this was one of the most fun parts that I had of the summer. What it started with was some healthy competition. And, I'm laughing right now just because as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, my buddy Jonah, who was my competition last summer, is going to be my competition again this summer, is sitting here texting me and trash talking me. So, that's how it all started, was just some competition. And, the cool thing was we had that friendship going into the summer. So when it came down to it, basically with Jonah, starting at the beginning of the summer, I talked to Jonah every night. Without a doubt, I knew I was getting a call from him or I was calling him whenever we finished up our last interview, whatever the case would be. Usually would be around 9:30, 10, sometimes 11 at night. We'd get on the phone and we'd talk for 30, 45 minutes. And then later in the summer, at the end of May, I started getting calls from COS, and we started developing the same type of relationship. And by midsummer, we were all three talking. Oftentimes we get on and we have a 3-way call every night between the three of us. And we talk some trash, we talk some strategy, kind of go over what went well with the day, what went well with training, what was working with our training class. So we'd have a lot of fun with it. We just kind of to have that relationship together and other, whether one of our May staffers or June staffers, after the meeting, a select few of us, we'd get together and we'd go out and we'd have some fun afterwards. A few other managers got together to do some first weekend PDI, just to kind of cultivate that relationship, but just have some fun and hang out together as well. Now I'll tell you what, one of the things I loved about this summer was the competition and kind of what came from it, mostly between COS and our office competition. And we really got into it. And I'll tell you what, COS texted me a picture earlier last night, and he sent me a picture that he had hung in his office and had his reps throw knives at of me. So that was pretty fun. I didn't even know that he was using a particular picture, and I was a little embarrassed by it. So it was pretty funny. We had snap wars during training. He would send me a snap of his training class. I'd send him a snap back in class into it and be like, hey guys, this is Joseph Koss. He's our competition for the summer. And guys, this week we're going to whoop his butt because of you guys right here. And I got right from the get-go, we'd get that training class locked in. We were having a ton of fun with it. One of my favorite memories was a couple of team meetings. I remember one in particular. I was running the team meeting, and I'm sitting there on my desk running the team meeting. I think it was an instructional talk, and my phone rings. Guys, you want to know who's calling me right now? They're like, who is it? Who is it? Right, Joseph Koss. Check this out. I'm gonna answer the phone, and we're gonna shout our phone jam chant. And our phone jam chant over the summer was whenever you got a demo, you raise your hand, get a high five, and you shout SJC, screw Joseph Koss. So I was like, all right, guys, as soon as I answer this call, I'm going to put it on speaker, guys, and you're going to shout SJC. Josh goes, hey, Josh, what's up? And my whole team just yells out SJC, and I hang up on him. And then I call him back later that night and talk some trash and had a good time with it. So, we had some prank calls. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun with it. Really got the team, in behind it. And I know Koss was doing the same thing. He was talking a ton of smack over in his office. And it was really just a good way to get the team bonded, not just, over whatever it may be, but to get them, just something small as a competition about somebody they may never have met. And that way they know when, we walked into SC1, they were like, yo, where's Joseph Koss? Like, who did we beat for SC1? So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the SJC thing. That's hilarious. So Anthony, I know you have something kind of similar to that. So can you talk about how you fostered the healthy office-to-office competition?
Yeah, I remember in 2016, something that I was really, fortunate to have was my office was probably about 20 miles away at the most from another office. And so that was automatically our competition. We were the two offices in South Orange County. And so my regional nickname that's kind of picking up a little bit more and more as I've started, is King. And in my training, I'll actually tell my reps, when I'm telling them about my personal story, I'll go King of South Orange County. And this year I'm going to be putting King of LA because we're going to have 3 offices in LA this year. And I'm more than happy to go, yeah. And I mean, my office, this one here that you guys are a part of, that's going to be number 1 again this summer, plus that office over there. And I put a picture of, another branch manager up there. And I go, yeah, what are we own that office as well, just so you guys know. So I love fostering competition. I'm a super competitive person. So, I can remember that last summer, probably every single day, my DM, he's an ADVM. So he has the entire division's sales report. So I'd get a screenshot 3 times a day going, oh, Irvine office, they just sold an Ultimate. So you guys are behind $2,000. So I would immediately take those and send them to my group me. And I'd be like, guys, can you see this? Irvine thinks they're better than us. They think that prissy team in Irvine thinks they're better than Santa Monica over here. And that's just not going to happen. That's not who we are. So I would constantly leverage that and promote that to my team. When I would go home for a weekend or something to play a basketball game or go see my mom, I would go to those other offices. And I, during a push period sometimes even, I'd go take pictures of what's on their wall. Hey guys, look, they have my face with darts in it. Can you guys believe that? They're darting my face. You guys gonna let that happen to us? Or in Patty's office, there was a big sign that said "Smash Sam O," and it had pictures of dead fish for some reason. So I took a picture of that and I sent it to my group me every single day, saying they're calling us guppies. They think we're guppies here in Santa Monica. We have to not beat them, but we have to destroy that team. So we ended up beating them $20,000 for that push period. But constantly doing that, putting pictures up of other managers' faces. I had pictures on the trash cans. They thought our divisional pilot manager, they only knew him as La Basura. That's the only thing my team knew him as, is just the trash can. They didn't even know his name until they actually went up and met him. That's when they learned he had a name. He was just a trash can guy, put their faces on balloons, and we're stabbing balloons or drawing pictures of their faces as part of team events. So, I also had a lot of fun with it and wanted to make sure, it's healthy competition, but using that to drive results as well and create more reasons for the team to work harder and have a reason to, really feel prideful in their sales report.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I didn't know about the trash can thing. That's really funny. Guys, one thing I do want to mention about all of this, and I think Jackson might talk a little bit about it, but the reason why we call it healthy competition is because we're not here to put anybody down. If you're going to compete with another office and do those kinds of things, get permission to do that first, because the last thing you want to have happen is you're trash talking one office and that branch manager has no idea you're trash talking them, and then you go to a conference and then your reps go up to that branch manager and in all joking fun trash talk, but that branch manager has no idea. That can be taken kind of wrong. So that being said, when you are creating healthy office competition, it needs to be a two-way street. Just want to clear that up. But I love what you guys have been doing in your office. I think that's so fun. So Jackson, I know you had some great competition with Brandon Denny. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I lived with Brandon, so it was obviously constant competition. But a few like things that I did, obviously, like I did the Snapchat thing. I would constantly Snapchat Brandon like pictures of our team meeting, our phone jam, so he knew what we were getting done. Training as well, always constantly talk to him. And then something big that I did was they had a kind of a chant that was kind of like the one Josh had towards us. So our team kind of got salty about that. So what we started doing was like on the national sales report every week during our team meeting, I would show everybody what was going around in the business, and I would always circle what Brandon's office sold and highlighted it and like showed what they're doing and how much we were either beating them or how much we were behind. So our team always constantly knew where we were at with them, and most of the time we were ahead. But a big point to that was really not getting cocky with it, because kind of to go off what Shelby just said is, we're here to, lift everyone up. If I'm doing really well and someone's not, I want to make sure I can do what I can to help them do well. So it's really, really important not to get too cocky with, the competition. It's all for fun, really.
Yeah, it's absolutely all in fun. So we've got 5 more minutes until we go into our question and answer session. So I wanted to touch on 2 last points. The first one being fun. Obviously, branch is a huge challenge, and the majority of your summer is work. But that work can be really fun when you do it intentionally. So I'm going to open up the floor to all 3 of you guys to talk about some of the things that you did, maybe with other teams for team meetings or with your team in particular, that just fostered a environment of friendship and just kind of a family environment. So whoever wants to start can just jump on here.
Yeah, I'll hop in. Obviously, if you can either live with another branch manager, that's always solid. If you can live with other branch managers, because just having those home talking about thing, you have the same goals in mind. That's really beneficial. I would 100% recommend it. And if you're living together, that means your offices are probably rather close to each other as well, at least, within a driving distance of, 20 minutes or so at least. And if you can do that, I would recommend, joint team events, joint team meetings. I loved push period joint team meetings where you could run it together, really hype everyone up, build that competition we're just talking about within that one office. And, that really drives like a phone jam. When you have 2 different teams phone jamming against each other, drives the whole thing. And then for like a team night out, you can do like a dodgeball game or something, and just being able to have 2 teams going at it in that way, but really building that healthy competition, fostering a lot of fun where, it feels competitive, but it's like, it's all in love. And that's the part about it. And even being able to do things like, push alliances, having, the top people from 2 offices. Let's say one has a couple reps doing a little better than the other office. It really helps in having that where, they can influence the entire team, and it helps the entire division, helps both offices really do better. So, obviously there's a lot of benefits to that right there.
Yeah, for sure. Jackson, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'll go off of it. I was lucky enough to branch in Treasure Coast, which is really, really close to the beach. So a lot of the time it was really fun. I was able to go out on the beach. There was this like cool dock area with a gazebo, a nice, beautiful view. I would go out there and take PDI, do some calls out there. It was real fun. I was able to, we went fishing one time for team night out, like night fishing with some of the guys, the studs on my team. We would always go bowling. There was this really cool bowling alley right down the street from our office. We were right in the middle of like a shopping center. So there was like a Tijuana flat. So I really took advantage of the time that I was able to spend with my reps. And then also with Brandon as well. And kind of go back to the first question, I spent a lot of time with Brent Boyd. Brent Boyd lived in Cocoa Beach. We were always out at the beach, talking and diving in on things. So I was able to travel a little bit during the summer. But a big thing that I would hit on is really find something that you can do for yourself during the summer, because like your summer is all about working and you're going to be grinding really hard. But if you grind like 24/7, you're not going to like perform at your best. You're going to want to have some me time and like something you can do where you can just like not worry about work for a couple hours out of the day, or maybe just one day out of the week, and just be yourself and have fun and get some enjoyment out of the summer, not work related. So I'd say that was pretty something important that I did.
Yeah, for sure. Josh, we've got one more minute. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just on top of all that, the summer is a phenomenal time to have some fun, and work your butt off. And one of the things I loved about the summer was, with our branch class, we had 10 branch managers last summer. Of those 10, 8 of us were on the Eastern region incentive trip, that January trip. And then out of the 10 of us, 7 of us hit our Eastern trip for the summer, either through office or personal sales. So, that was one of the really cool things, is the opportunity, not just, to have fun during the summer, but to set stuff up afterwards, and the relationships you create during the summer, and I'll tell you what, some of the branch managers from this past summer are some of my best friends now. So, definitely take advantage of it. Have a ton of fun with your office and with the other branches. And that's about all I got.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. So we're going to move into Q&A. If you're on your computer, all you have to do is just type in the group chat that you have a question. You say, I have a question. We'll direct it towards you. If you're on your phone, just go ahead and unmute your lines and just start speaking, and then we'll direct it towards you. So the line is opened up for questions. All right, Zach, let me pull you up here. Okay, you are on. Go ahead.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, awesome. So my question really was just it's something a little simple for me. Probably my biggest issue is, I have my goals created. I know what I want to go after. But I'm probably the worst morning person I know, in terms of like getting up to, whether it's campus recruiting or phone jams or things like that. I know I've gotten better with it, but for anyone in this call that like maybe struggled with that in the summer, because personally that's, I think, going to be my biggest issue. What was something you guys maybe did to kind of like that final question you ask yourself, or like what really drove you to be the first person in your office, the last one leaving, always taking care of things like that, in terms of like stuff like that? Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. I'm going to turn that question over to Anthony. He raised his hand in the middle of it, so I'm assuming he has an answer. So go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm an awful morning person, probably 8 months of the year. Only those 4 months in branch am I really good at mornings. I find there's 3 things that really help me out with it. Number 1 is practice now. Obviously, do what you can to get a morning routine going right now, so that it becomes almost, second nature to get up early when you're in the summer. Number 2 is have an accountability partner just for mornings. Have someone that you need to text every single morning saying, I'm awake, or someone in your house if you can, whatever you can do, but find someone that is holding you accountable to being up every single day. Some of that you shared that vision with, that goal with, whoever that may be, that's going to be really important. And the third part is, I think, just have that drive, have that if you really have goals and you know that you're really dedicated to them, my manager calls it a planned paranoia almost, that, in the summer, it doesn't matter. I can't get up later than 5:30 because I'm paranoid about my goals. I'm so committed to what I need to do and being the best me I can for my people that my body knows, throughout my blood that I have to get up. So it doesn't matter if I went to bed at 1 a.m. or if I went to bed or I didn't sleep. You gotta be able to get up on a dime and be so ready, have so much energy for your people. And if you really believe that and you really want to be, a servant leader for your people, your body will get up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I have, Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say kind of to second that, kind of to go off of what Anthony said, definitely have an accountability partner. Something that I did was a big 3 each day. So basically what that is you set it up with an accountability partner. Mine was with my division manager. And basically what I had to do is I had to WhatsApp him a voice message 3 things I wanted to get done for the day, and I had to do it before 7:30 in the morning. So it forced me to get up because it was my division manager. I didn't want to be late, and I wasn't going to miss that. So then off the bat, I was up. And then also what the big 3 does for you, it allows you to really focus on what the most important things are to get done each day. And to be completely honest, no matter what you get done throughout the day, as long as you get at least those 3 things done, you're moving your business forward. And that's ultimately what's going to push you to get results that you want. So as long as you keep your business moving forward, you're going to be fine.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Josh?
Yeah, let me just jump in here real quick. I've always found, and my division manager preaches this as well, the easiest way to get someone to do something is get them to want to do it. And, as much as we believe that for other people, you got to realize that you got to do that for yourself as well. So during the summer, I think it's a lot easier because you're really excited. You've got something to look forward to in the morning. You're getting up, ready to go run training or run an interview, whatever the case may be. But if you're looking to start practicing now, find something that you're excited about in the morning. Or if you don't have something that you're excited about, give yourself something to be excited about. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to get nice breakfast food. So I have to get up early enough to make a nice breakfast, or, whatever the case, whatever your motivator is, find something to be excited about. I find whenever I've got something going on the next day, and I need to be up at a certain time, if I'm really excited about it, I beat my alarm clock by 10, 20 minutes, just because I'm ready to roll and ready to jump out of bed and hit the ground running.
Yeah, I call that the Christmas Eve phenomenon. That's exactly how I am. No matter where I'm going, whether it's, for me, it was always an amusement park when I was a kid. I'd wake up before my alarm clock. Another quick piece of advice for you, Zach. I don't know where you currently keep your alarm or your cell phone, but move it to an area of your bedroom or of your dorm room or your apartment where you can still hear it, but you can't just reach over and turn it off, where it actually physically forces you to get out of bed. That's another huge thing that's going to help you physically wake up. So moving on to next question. Whoever has the next question, jump on right now.
I have a question.
Okay, and who is that? Name your name.
Sean.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I really need to get better at is not getting deflated when something negative happens. What are some tips that you guys have that keep you from getting focused on stuff like that?
Jackson?
Yeah, I would say something you'd want to write down is this kind of phrase that Jeff Gamboa taught me: situation is boss. And basically what that means is it's not at some parts in the summer, there's going to be things that go wrong that you're not going to have the opportunity to react to at that time. If something goes wrong in the middle of training, you're not going to have the opportunity to worry about that. So what's really cool about Branch is it helps you do that without even really trying, because there's going to be situations that you're going to want to respond to and react to a certain way, but you're surrounded by all of your reps and you just really can't, and you have to worry about it later. And it really forces you to, put it on the back burner. And that's really what helped me, because to be honest, that was a great question, because I struggled with that too going in the summer. I'd get nag about something that was really not that nag. And then it would make the rest of my day not go as well. But the Branch opportunity really helps you get that done. So.
Cool. Josh?
I would throw in there as well, one thing that I know Jackson alluded to earlier was, kind of creating a big 3 list at the beginning of the day. And I think that if you are able to really have your goals, and what you're truly trying to accomplish for the day laid out, and you have your purpose in mind of what you want to have done at the end of the day, the little things aren't going to get you down. I know over the summer, there's going to be 101 things that go wrong. And if you were to let every one of those little things bog you down, you'd spend all your time worried about them. So you got to put the big rocks in first. And then all that little stuff, it'll filter through later. And you just really got to focus on what's important now, and really make sure you have priorities.
Yeah. Cool. Anthony, anything on that?
Yeah. You can go ahead and book it, plan it right now. Write it in your planner. Something's going to go wrong. Something just will. That happens every Branch summer to everyone. Something crazy is going to happen. So just, obviously, I think the main thing that I could say that to kind of echo my district manager is just stay the course. Things are going to happen. It's an up and down kind of thing. Summers in general, life, success. So just making sure you're doing the things you know how to do, kind of as, to allude to what everyone else has already been saying. But, knowing your main purpose, what you need to achieve that day. If something goes wrong, if it's not, regarding one of those things, just move it to the side and keep going. Something will happen. So just keep going and don't worry about it.
Jackson?
Yeah, one more thing. Just to kind of second what Anthony was saying, definitely something's going to go wrong. And it was cool is like Carlos, my manager, really was like beating that into me. He's like, don't get caught off guard when something crazy happens. And I had no idea what was going to happen, and you never do. But like when it happens, you know that's it. And what was cool is for me, I won't talk about what happened, but when it did happen, it was kind of like it wasn't even that neg for me because I was like, dang, like they were all right. Like that's kind of funny. I'm glad this happened. Now, if that's the worst thing that happens to me, my summer's gonna be fine. So it was really like I embraced what went wrong, and then we just rolled with it, and we were able to finish number 13. So.
Yeah, I'm going to answer quickly on that question too, because I was one of the people throughout my branch summer where I was rolling and I was going and I was having these big weeks, but I was also letting myself focus on some of the more negative things, and it affected me emotionally. And I was coaching with Trent Booth, and he gave me 3 questions to ask myself whenever I felt like I was stuck in this negative rut. First question is, what actually happened? And when you answer that question, you typically begin to separate your feelings from reality. And as you're writing out what actually happened, you tend to realize that you are overreacting. And so by writing down what actually happened, it gives you clarity. Then you can write down, how am I feeling? Or you can write down, what did I want to happen? And when you answer the question, how am I feeling? Typically in that moment, you're going to answer a little bit differently now that you just answered the question of what actually happened, because you'll realize that how you're feeling is kind of ridiculous. So that's one avenue to go. If you're to answer the question, what did I want to happen? Then that gives you the chance to kind of visualize, if that same problem were to come up again, how you actually want the outcome to happen. And then the final question is, what action steps can I take right now to make this better or to help me feel better? And those action steps will bring you out of that rut, physically out of that rut, because you're now thinking ahead versus getting stuck in the past, which is what happens when you're sitting in negativity. All right. So Zach, next question. Actually, before I give you the floor, does anybody else besides Zach have a question? I want to make sure we get to everyone.
Yeah, I have a question.
Is that Brandon?
Yeah, this is Brandon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so my question is, I know you guys talked a lot about the competitiveness and the team nights out, but what other steps did you take to create a positive kind of work culture in your office?
All right, Jackson.
Yeah, I can go off that. Big thing, number 1, have a team name. Have a team name. That off the bat just creates culture. For me, our team name was the Treasure Coast Kings and Queens, right? Another thing that I did was on the above the door where before you left the office or the training room, I had our team logo, just like a piece of paper printed out, put in a plastic frame. And I made it a thing, like in training, when they would leave training, they would slap it. And if they were a guy, they would yell Kings. And if they were a girl, they would yell Queens. So that constantly was like a culture builder, because during training, I'd had reps coming in and out. And then you would just hear it in the office, like, boom, Kings out loud. And everybody would be like, oh, what was that, We had a team chant. That's always big. When you go to conferences, you do your chant. I've got some videos that I could post on the ImPACT group of our team. Just,
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. And then another thing is that we did that was pretty cool, that really was a pretty good investment. It only cost like $10. And it was a Snapchat filter. I had our personal Snapchat filter to my office that every week we had our top reps name on it. So then right there, that's a culture builder, because then they can post that. And then I got PRs from that. And it was really cool. I got to design it myself. And if you want some information on that, I can get you in touch with the person who helped me do that. But really off the bat, just to create culture, just have a team name, a team chant, and a team logo off the bat. And if your branch needs a logo, hit me up. I've got somebody that is really good that's made up all the logos that I've used. So
Jackson, that is gold. That Snapchat filter, oh my God, incredible. Josh, I'm going to pull it over to you.
Okay, perfect. I love this topic. One of the things I think that our team did really good is we had a lot of culture in our office. One of the things that I think is super important is you have to get your people to team night out. I'm a huge believer in team night out, and the power of having our reps become friends outside of the office, as well as The ability to have those one-on-one combos with people, what I call napkin talks, with your reps. So one of the things that I did to get people to team night out, it also created some healthy competition just in the office, as we would do, if we hit our team goal demo-wise for the phone jam on a Wednesday, I would buy half price. We would go to Applebee's for team night out, or we would go bowling. So what I would do is we would have a drawing for everyone that when we hit our goal, 8 or 10, it was just depending on, the phone jam and how many demos we were trying to set. So either 8 or 10 demos set for the phone jam, they were going to get a ticket into the drawing, right? And one person was gonna win free bowling. Or if we were, it was a push, something a little bit bigger, we're going to Applebee's. If we had a little bit bigger team goal, I'd buy appetizers for everyone at team night out. And I did that for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the summer, just to get people in the habit of coming to team night out. And, I always made it sure that it was an attainable goal, but something that was going to stretch them, that, we might have to phone jam until 9:15, 9:30 to hit it. But we were going to hit that goal, and it's going to get everyone to team night out. Find a deal, make sure that there's a local restaurant that you have a deal with. And if you can, make sure that, you get a deal on that. Applebee's has half price apps after 10, so it worked out perfectly. I'd spend like $20, $30, feed the whole team. They were super happy with it. It was a really cheap way to get everyone locked in, get them to team night out. And then it was even more competition, when we were doing a drawing for like free bowling, something like that. So that's one of the big things that I did to get that culture going.
Yeah, love it. Anthony, do you have anything else to add on to this? And then that's going to be the end of it. And then after we jump off here, you guys anyone that's on the call can post in the Facebook group any additional questions. So Zach, your question that we didn't get to, post that in the Facebook group, tag Jackson, Anthony, and Josh, and they'll answer it when they get a chance to, okay? So Anthony, you can answer that last question.
Cool. Yeah, I have 3 things. Number 1, PRs. You'll naturally create a culture that is close to each other, that is competitive with each other. If you have a lot of PRs, naturally when you're with your friends, you're going to want to compete against them. You're going to want to do well together. So having a strong PR culture is number 1. So really promoting that a lot. Number 2, I would say is creating that competition within your own team as well. I like having a top 10 board, constantly promoting who the top reps are, constantly promoting, at the end of the week, hey, this is our number 1 rep. This is, who's close to them. How can you guys can you beat them? You're this far from making the top 10 on the board list. Something like that I think is really important as well. Kind of creates that competition within your team that makes them fight against each other a little bit to make everyone better. And then number 3, speaking about obviously with team names and team chants, something that we did as well is team handshakes. So I'm really into sports. And so something that I watched a lot of the really great basketball teams have is they all have like a handshake with each other. So any rep of mine over 2,000 got their own personal handshake, and every rep on the team had a team handshake that we do before we walked out of training. They had to do it when they walked in the team event. They had to do it with me. They had to do it when they walked off the stage for SC2. So I think that really kind of helped build that culture, and they felt like they were part of something. I think that really was important there as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Guys, this content was amazing. I really appreciate all of you coming onto this and playing all out and giving everybody some gold. I know that there was a lot of really, really great content here. So it has been recorded. I'm going to post the recording in the next 24 hours. Anyone who did not get their question answered, please post it on the Facebook group. And then tomorrow I will pick a winner of the drawing for anyone that participated in the Q&A session right now, and then the one following this on the Facebook page. So guys, have a great afternoon, and we'll chat later on. Bye, everyone.